So in this video, we're going to watch Margarita Simonyan suggest that there's going to be a mass migration from the United States to Russia because of all the things that are going on in the United States. Special thanks to the Russian Media Monitor for putting this out. It's a very brief clip, but it's really telling. Now, as we watch this, I want you to keep in mind a few things. One, this media is going to be consumed primarily by older Russians who are, let's say, the 50 and up club, maybe 60 and up club. That's going to be who's going to be spending the time watching this, because younger Russians will get their media from the internet. And so they know that they're talking to that. They're also talking to Putin, and they're also kind of talking to the West at the same time, and at a small, like at a much smaller level. Okay, so let's watch this and see what we see. When a one-legged Thai transgender comes to power in the United States. Now, that's a weird description, a one-legged Thai transgender. But what she's trying to say is the weirdest thing that she can think about. And again, she's speaking to different audiences simultaneously, primarily the Russian audiences, but she's also speaking to some degree to conservatives in the United States who are not as likely to embrace transgenderism as the political left. So she's talking to that as well. When everything there comes to ruin in the most phantasmagorical, absurd, and unimaginable way, all of them will run to us to fix our demographic crisis. Okay, let's pause there for a moment. Regardless of how jacked up the United States is, and over the last 5, 10 years, the United States has gone through a good deal of turmoil, in no small measure because of Russian interference in social media, amplified trolls getting involved. And one of the things that we find that Russian trolls do is they amplify whatever a hot abrasive issue is. So it's not that they're trying to promote this or promote that. They're trying to cause disagreement and dysfunction, and they do that pretty well. They amplify that. But regardless of how jacked up we are in the United States, I'm pretty sure we're not about to run to Russia, because regardless of whatever our issues are, and we have plenty of issues, there's no freedom, no real freedom in a meaningful sense, as an American would embrace it, in Russia, which is re-Sovietizing, not in a Marxist sense, but in an authoritarian sense, in a significant and radical way. Now, part two of that is to fix our demographic crisis. What are you talking about with a demographic crisis? Okay, well, there is. This is a Russian population pyramid map. On this left side, you'll see the blue, that's male. On the right side, you'll see pink, that's female. And what you'll see is that it looks kind of odd. Now, this little line over here this is excess female surplus. Now, I don't know exactly how. I guess it's because it's not balanced between male and female. I guess that's what they mean by surplus. But what you'll notice is that about 30 years ago, something very significant happened to the chart. Here's what the USA's chart looks like, and you'll see that this is reasonably balanced all the way down. Now, when you get to the top, of course, this is 10-year-old, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60, 70, and people start to die, 80, 90. You don't have a lot of 100-year-olds running around. So you're supposed to have this kind of triangle at the top, and they do have that triangle at the top. However, they also don't have the same base here that the United States has, because something happened, and that happened about 30 years ago, and that was when the Soviet Union collapsed. There was a great deal of uncertainty, and so population declined in a significant way. Now, that happened to a number of places, particularly in Eastern Europe after the collapse of the Soviet Union. But that's what she's talking about when she's talking about the population crisis that they have, where they don't have a pyramid that looks like this. Now, one way that you can get them is that you can steal children from another state, like Ukraine, or you can absorb entire regions, and then you'll have some kind of impact on your population demographics. So Russia has a real problem, and they are not unaware of that. They know that this is a real significant thing. And there are some scholars who think that the reason that they acted in Ukraine now is because they see the population crisis, they're going to be weaker over time. even if they have to work as plumbers and fix water pipes. Like they'll come to Russia. They want to be there so badly that they'll come and take the most menial jobs in Russia just to be out of the United States. That's the case that she's making. And I think that's targeted primarily at the older Russian audience who wants to take pride in what Russia or the former Soviet Union once was. The way our poor white migrants there in the past worked as plumbers, taxi drivers, and doormen. Remember, there was a huge migration of Russians and those from Eastern Europe to the United States. The way we used to strive to move to America in the 1980s and 1990s. It was considered the biggest dream. And for a time, it was. But now the Russian mentality is, no, we don't want to go there. We want to be as good or better or whatever, or have parity with in a multipolar world. And that's where some of the multipolar language comes from. It's almost like success envy or something along those lines. And the main goal in life, we will choose from among them the way America was choosing us. I remember that. I went through that program. Now, if I understand correctly, she was like an exchange student, or she was here in, I want to say, New Hampshire or something along those lines. I could be wrong about that. But in the United States for at least months, if not years. They were choosing. This one is smart and useful. He will do something useful for us. We will take him. This one is third class, flawed in some way. Go back to your transgender president and lose your mind along with him. This is what it will be, and we'll have a garden city. The more territories we liberate, wait a minute, hold on, the more territories we liberate. What are we talking about liberating? They look at the 4 oblasts in Ukraine as liberated, and along with Crimea. Not that they have gone in and abandoned international law and crossed these borders legally and made war on unsuspecting people. And yes, so they are talking about liberating these territories. The more that they liberate, meaning that they want to go on and do more than that. The more that we liberate, the more people will be able to live with us in this magnificent garden city. Wow, that is her case. So her case is that they're going to fix the demographic crisis in 2 ways: by Americans fleeing from America because of all the terrible stuff going on there to the safety of Russia, and by liberating other populations. That means enfolding them into Russia. Okay, I didn't make it up. You saw it with your own eyes. Tell me if I'm wrong. Put it in the comments below. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.